Tonight, we are honoring, thank you. I can see. We are honoring Gabriel Prosperous, the rebellion. And we just want to say that we appreciate all of us being here tonight. And today marks the 217th anniversary of the Gabriel's rebellion. Tonight, we represent and reflect on the story of Gabriel and the rebellion of 1800. Gabriel was a well-educated enslaved blacksmith who planned a large slave rebellion in the Richmond area in the summer of 1800. Information regarding the revolt was leaked prior to its execution, and he and 25 followers was taken captive and hung in punishment. In reaction, Virginia and other legislators passed restrictions on free blacks, as well as prohibiting the education, assembly, and hiring out of slaves, to restrict their chances to learn and to plan similar rebellions. Tonight is a reflected event, an opportunity to remember and to honor those who fought against slavery and Jim Crow, and who still fight against white supremacy, racism, fascism, and war. Remember those who have stood for love, justice, equality, and a future in which we all can thrive. Remember those who stand and speak, who dance and shout for a future full of love, justice, equality, peace, and strength at home and abroad. Remember those who have given their lives' work and their very lives for these ideas. Remember those who had no idea they had to. And let us take inspiration from their example as we rededicate ourselves to those same ideas. And tonight, we invited everyone to bring flowers to place here. Yellow for the memory of optimism and light of freedom. Red to honor the spirit of resistance. Now this coming weekend, the descendants of Gabriel will host our annual family reunion at which they will commemorate the life and the ambition of their ancestors. But we here in Richmond, we here in Virginia, we must still remember that we are still facing many of the same racist issues with we have deplorable schools, mass incarceration, which is the new Jim Crow, racism, lack of health care, we're facing voter suppression, lack of adequate transportation for our elderly and for those that do not have adequate means to transportation. And then the rise here in Virginia, the rise of the KKK and Nazis here in Virginia, working to instill fear. That's the goal, to instill fear. But this time, we ain't scared, so it won't work. Thank you.
Welcome once again. I don't know if she introduced herself.
Oh. My name is Lynetta Thompson. She always liked for me to say the past president for the Richmond NAACP. Past president! Hey!
And my name is Anna Edwards, and I'm chair of the Sacred Ground Project. And I'm really pleased and proud to be with you here for, what is this, 2017? So almost 15 years we have been coming to the burial ground, always on October 10th, many times on August 30th. But we felt that in light of events And in light of the fact that, as Lynetta articulated, we are dealing with the issues. We are dealing with the same issues again. History does repeat itself. Or actually, Mark Twain said, I just learned this, Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. So we are facing similar and like issues. And this is a good opportunity to review the story of Gabriel's rebellion in order to understand what it was that he was trying to do and what it means for us today. We do these things on a ritual basis. This is part of memorialization, right? And so we are honoring his memory, but we are honoring the memory of what he and those who died with him and those who tried with him to accomplish the goal of freedom for people, and in essence to help America actually realize its stated dream, right? So we are still working on that. So hopefully everyone has a copy of the story of Gabriel's rebellion in your hand. And if you don't, I don't know if there are extras out there, but we do have a few more, or you can share with somebody. Because I'd like you to read along if you can, light permits. No, just read along. I may stop and see who's reading out loud. Yes, okay. He was a proud black man, born into slavery, but determined to be free. At the age of 21, he organized what many historians consider the most extensive, well-planned attempt at a mass slave rebellion in U.S. history. Every school child should know his story. There should be a statue of him on Virginia's Capitol Square. Schools should be named after him. Bridges, libraries, cities. His name was Gabriel. Some people know him as Gabriel Prosser, but there's no evidence he ever took or was given the surname of the Henrico County plantation owner who held him in bondage. A tall, imposing, literate blacksmith, Gabriel was born in 1776, the year of the American Revolution that proclaimed all men are created equal. Evidently, he took those words to heart. He was also likely influenced by the successful Haitian slave revolution begun in 1791, reports of which were eagerly followed in Richmond. Of the city's 5,700 residents, the majority were enslaved African Americans. My print is bigger than yours. And in the election year of 1800, Gabriel knew that bitter conflicts were raging between the Federalists and the somewhat more democratic Republicans. He began to see an opportunity to turn the rhetoric of the American Revolution into reality. The plan was to recruit an army of enslaved blacks and march into Richmond from Brook Creek in Henrico County. As a diversion, one contingent would set fire to the warehouse district by Rocket's Landing. Meanwhile, another would seize the city armory, while a third would capture Governor James Monroe, holding him hostage until the area's slave owners agreed to the demand for freedom. All who agreed would be embraced as equals. All who resisted would be killed. They would march behind a banner inscribed with the words, "Death or Liberty," a slogan of the Haitian Revolution. The plan depended in part on Gabriel's belief that other poor and oppressed people would join the rebellion, free and enslaved blacks, as well as non-slave owning and working class whites and Indians. Beginning in the spring of 1800, Gabriel began to organize. Quietly, carefully, he recruited his soldiers. Assisted by his wife Nan, his brothers Solomon and Martin, and a fiery giant of a man named Jack Bowler, he built a small circle of trusted lieutenants, each of whom was assigned specific tasks. Blacksmiths secretly fashioned plowshares into swords and molded buckets of bullets. Carpenters made handles. Literate enslaved people wrote passes, allowing recruiters to travel widely to spread the word. Watermen carried the news down the James River to Norfolk. Gabriel himself, hired out to work in Richmond, spent his Sundays wandering the town, impressing its features in his mind, especially the locations of arms and ammunition. The conspiracy grew, involving thousands in at least 10 counties, as well as the cities of Richmond, Petersburg, and Norfolk. Throughout this dangerous work, no traitors emerged, or if they did, they were cowed into silence by the fierce determination of the revolutionists. To be sure, the slave owners were picking up hints of trouble: an overheard conversation, a missing firearm, a runaway slave. In a letter to Vice President Thomas Jefferson dated April 22, 1800, Governor Monroe referred to fears of a Negro insurrection. But Jefferson, like many slaveholders at the time, found it hard to believe that slaves could be capable of complex, large-scale organization. Some even believed that these sons and daughters of Africa had resigned themselves to lives of servitude. Their white supremacist arrogance was a major advantage for Gabriel and his co-conspirators. Finally, the date of the uprising was set, August 30th. It would be a Saturday night, and groups of black people walking into the city were less likely to arouse suspicion. But as the freedom fighters made their way to their meeting place just north of Brook Creek, nature intervened in a terrible way. Richmond was deluged with one of its late summer thunderstorms. This one was unusually fierce. A torrential rain pounded the roads, making them impassable. The streams and creeks overflowed, washing away bridges. Gabriel and the other leaders decided to postpone the rebellion until the following day. The delay proved fatal. The great tension and unexpected change of plans proved too much for one of the conspirators. An Henrico County slave named Pharaoh shared the secret with a fellow slave named Tom. Together, they told a member of their owner's family. By Sunday afternoon, the governor was taking action. Local militias were hastily mobilized and deployed. Groups of armed whites combed the countryside, rounding up suspects. Among the slave owners, panic reigned. As news of the aborted rebellion spread, town officials across the region pleaded with the governor to send arms and ammunition. For weeks, Gabriel himself eluded capture. Finally, he left his hiding place, swam out into the James River, and boarded a three-masted schooner called the Mary. For some reason, the white captain, a recently converted Methodist named Richardson Taylor, decided not to turn in the tall stranger, even though it is unlikely he did not suspect his identity. But there was a $300 reward for whoever found Gabriel, and shortly after the ship arrived in Norfolk, one of the Mary's crewmen went looking for the sheriff. It was September 23rd, more than 3 weeks after the failed rebellion. Gabriel was returned to Richmond and became one of the first residents of the newly built Virginia State Penitentiary. In all, at least 26 of the revolutionaries were tried, condemned to death, and executed. Many more were sold into hellish lives on the steaming plantations of the Deep South. One or two escaped along the way. Gabriel was the last to hang on October 10, 1800. He had asked to die with his comrades, but that simple request was denied. With his hands bound behind him, he rode standing in the back of a tumbrel to the Richmond gallows in the middle of the burying ground near 15th and Broad Streets. According to West African traditions, a restless soul who dies unnaturally does not pass into the spirit world. Instead, it finds a home in the body of a newborn child. 8 days before Gabriel's death, a baby boy had been born on the Southampton County plantation of Benjamin Turner. His parents called him Nathaniel. The Old Testament name means gift of God. Good job. So at this moment, if you brought flowers, this would be a good time for you to bring them and lay them. You can lay them anywhere in this area. I'd say right in here before the lamps. And we're going to take about 3 or 4 minutes for people to do that. And if you don't have one, that's okay. You can just murmur, talk, think among yourselves for about 3 minutes. And then we're going to have an open mic session. I did put it on Facebook, but not everybody goes back to Facebook after they say they're coming. So we would like for people to take 1 to 2 minutes, if you have that much to say. You'd be surprised how much you can say in 1 to 2 minutes. But if you do have something that you would like to say about this occasion, about the rebellion, about Gabriel, about anything connected to it, you can fit it into 1 to 2 minutes. We have time for maybe 10 to 12 people to do that. And so we would love to hear your voices on this. So I will stop talking now, and you can bring your...
Put them in a place.
Issues that we are working on in the city, including the Memorial Park, the Shacobata Memorial Park. And it, as a contrast and as a counter landscape to Monument Avenue, is something worth fighting for and worth working towards. And one of the things that we thought we would do tonight is, I hope that you will spend a few more minutes, and I hope that you will take pictures. Take pictures of yourself here, your friends here. Take pictures in front of the banner. I brought one of selfie frames. And what we would really like people to do is to take those selfies and to take these pictures and send them to Mayor Stoney. At Mayor LeVar Stoney for Twitter and Facebook, and hashtag Mayor LeVar Stoney for Instagram. If you do that, if you don't, you can use email and send it to him. I think it's rvamayor@richmondgov.com. And if you want to include sending those to your city council person, that would be great. And I think that if you do that, you should also include the hashtag Gabriel lives. Okay? Bless you. Thank you all for being here, and have a lovely, lovely evening.